Hello everyone, welcome to Class A Surfacing. In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to create this aircraft using Catia Icem. And if you don't know, Catia Icem is a Class A modeling tool that is integrated into Catia. It's a surface model and it's used to create complex freeform shape CAD surface or CAD surfaces modeling. So basically, the way I would describe it to you is the same way CAD designers use Maya or Blender and they use these polygonal meshes to create freeform shapes, is the same way that CAD engineer use, for example, CATIA ICEM to create this complex freeform shape CAD surface modeling. But the only difference is that instead of the polygonal meshes in CATIA, we have knobs. So we have the square meshes, and basically it's the surface is subdivided into sections so that you're able to create or model your surfaces to complex features. Now we're just going to dive right into it. So this is the aircraft or the helicopter that we're going to create. This is the MD-500E series. It's the 1989 model, and you can tell it's the 1989 because we have the surface created here, which is not featured in the recent models. So I'm going to attach at least 3 or 4 documents for you to check out. One is the blueprint, because of course we're using this blueprint to reverse design these particular surfaces. So I have these 4 documents. One is this blueprint, which is prepared by Hughes. The reason it's prepared by Hughes is because the earlier models were usually manufactured by Hughes, which was later manufactured by the later models by the McDonald's. It's a Mac Douglas, and later on called the MD manufacturers. So this is the blueprint we are going to use. If by any chance you have a better blueprint, you can use it, but I think this one is sufficient and pretty accurate from my experience. The next one is going to be a product description. So first we have this document that I found online that was prepared by Sellercopter. They were selling this 1989 model, and it has some really nice pictures in it that you can check out to be able to see the kind of surfaces that we're going to be creating. There's the main rotor. We're going to try as much as possible to emulate it, but we're not going to do the whole thing. It's too much complex, but I'm going to give you like an idea of how we create the main rotor. And then we also have this front view and 2 side views. So this is the tail rotor, and these are the 2 side views. In reality, the windows of the helicopters usually bulge outwards. I don't know if you can tell. Maybe you can go to YouTube and look for some videos that are showing out this aircraft, and you'll be able to notice that the windows are usually bulged outwards, and they have these rubbers that are placed on top of the windows. That is so that if it rolls, then it is able to take the impact. But in this case, we're not going to bulge them outwards. We're just going to create one complete surfaces and then cut out the windows and so on and so forth. So that is the second document. The third one is the product specification, and this one is prepared by the MD company, and it shows you the external dimensions right here. So we're going to need that when we are positioning our sketch. So that is, I'm going to attach that. Lastly, this is optional. You don't actually need it, but we have the technical description or the technical specification document. And if you go to this page, you can be able to get an idea of how these rotors are integrated into the mainframe. Again, we're not going too much into details. We are just going to create the main components, and that will be it. So this is going to be the final product after we've created our full model. So ideally, we usually start off with the CATIA Imagine and Shape. The CATIA Imagine and Shape is designed to create these freeform complex shapes using subdivision surfacing, And once we create the main component, then we can head off to GSD. There's a toolkit here, a GSD dedicated toolkit in the IMA workbench that you can use to cut, to create the shape operations, to conduct the shape operations such as split, trim, join, the fillets and all that. So you can use it here. But we are also going to move to the GSD workbench to create these multi-section surfaces. That is the main rotor, the horizontal and vertical stabilizers, and this stands. Alternatively, you can just go straight to part design. That is the mechanical workbench, and you can use multi-section solid to create them. But in this case, because we are learning, we're going to use multi-section surfaces. Then lastly, we're going to go to the part design workbench and create the closed surfaces. So the closed surfaces are when you need to do analysis, such as the finite element analysis using ANSYS, or, solid structure analysis. So I've tried my best to emulate the aircraft. As you can see here, we've got some really nice features, and it's going to be a really nice experience. I'm going to try and make this as short as possible, the series, so that you can all go up to the very end. And I hope you enjoy it. Let's just dive right into it. So I'm going to close this one. And we're going to start by going to shape, and you open sketch tracer. So it goes without saying that for you to follow this tutorial, you need to have some prior knowledge in GSD and part design and probably assembly design. So if you're a beginner, I would just recommend that you check out our part and assembly design series right here, where we created the Rolex Air King. And if you're a beginner also, you should check out our GSD generative shape design series, where we created the DA50RG aircraft model. And then you can come here and learn about class A surfacing. Nevertheless, I'm going to try to be as thorough as possible to include everybody so that you can be able to go along this tutorial. So once you're in the sketch tracer workbench, you're going to realize it's an assembly workbench. So you have this product one, and you can be able to insert a couple of products or parts or existing components into this product. So the first thing we're going to add are our blueprint sketches, and you're going to use this icon. But before you do that, you have to ensure that you are in perspective, you're in parallel render style. So right now I'm in perspective, so I'm going to change this to parallel. And then we're going to select the right view from this icon. You're just going to here and select right view, and then create an immersive sketch. Select your blueprint, and then we're going to use these arrows to position. So we're starting here. Let me just drop this down below. And then based on the product description document, this right here, we can have different lengths that you're going to specify. In this case, I'm going to specify the length of the aircraft from the tip of the fuselage up to this very end of the horizontal stabilizer. So, and that is 2366. Remember, this is in feet. So if you go here, you can see, oh, it's 2388, the fuselage length. The fuselage length is 7280 millimeters. So keep that in mind, 7280 millimeters. So when you go here, we're going to make sure that, I'm going to zoom in so that we are more accurate. Bring this up to the stand, the bottom of the stand, like so. And then move this until it's just at the beginning of the fuselage. For the tail section, we move this up to the end of this. Let me move it upwards a little bit so we're able to see. So I hope you can see the green dotted line. We just mark it up to the tip of the horizontal stabilizer. And then we're going to specify this length. And remember, it's in negative in this direction. So that's going to be negative 7280 millimeters. Select OK. Now the next thing, we don't need this entire page in the right view, so you can use this solid green line now to specify how much you're going to see in that space. And in this case, I'm just going to align it close with what I've specified. So it's just lying on the dotted line. So the dotted line specifies the dimensions, and this just specifies how much is visible in the workbench. So I think that's okay. And then you're going to select OK. So there we have it. If you switch back to isometric view, you can see we have the right view. So next we're going to create the front view. So you're going to come here and select the front view. Then go to and create an immersive sketch, select the blueprint, and we're going to bring this down at the middle of this front view. So I'm going to drag this all the way down like so. And this one to the side. Then zoom in. So we're going to make sure that the bottom one is up to where the stand is, the bottom of the stand, like that. And the top one is going to be up to where we have this horizontal stabilizer. Don't stress much because we're going to edit this one later if it doesn't fit. So just follow what I'm doing. And then this is going to be up to the side of the stand. Now that we have that specified, we can bring in the general view. And in the general view, we need to see both sides. So first, I'm going to make sure that this one is in the middle. I'm going to use these two circles and this ellipse right here to select the middle. I think that's okay. Then this one goes up to the stand, up to the bottom of the stand, like so. Then this one, we bring it down. Once again, it goes up to the top of the horizontal stabilizer, like that. And this one over that dotted line. So we need to specify the height. So I'm going to select OK first, then double click on this and copy this height. Select OK. Then go back to this front view. And just click on this height and paste. Select OK. So now those two should be aligning. If you look at them where the rotor is and the top of the horizontal stabilizer, also where the main body is, they should be aligning all the way to the bottom of the stand. So that's good. Lastly, we have the top view. So we're going to select top view. And then create an immersive sketch. Select this blueprint. This is the top view right here. Again, we're going to bring this in the middle. So you can use these two guidelines to select the middle about that point, and then drag this all the way to the front of the aircraft, like so. Then we're going to bring this up to where the stand is. right there. Then the length is going up to the end of this horizontal stabilizer or the tail fin. Then we're gonna do the same with this general view. Goes all the way to the stand. Same case on the other side. You can use the green dotted line as reference. Now, before we exit, so we have the length here, similar to the length of the right view. So it's going to be negative 7280. And then we need to rotate the view. No, first let me put it as 7280, so I'm not confused. So we need to rotate the view to fit the right view. So first I can check where it is. So you can see right now it's facing the Y direction. We need it to face the X direction. We need the tail to go to the X direction. So once again, double click on that. And you can use the compass to see where the X direction is. So the X direction is this side. So you're just gonna take this and rotate it towards the X. And you can use this line to guide you where the 90-degree angle is. So basically the dotted line should just go over this corner right here. So maybe just a wee bit. Like so. Oopsie, 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 oopsie. I hope it's visible. So now it's facing the X direction and just select OK. And now if you go back to isometric view, you can see that it is positioned right where we need it. And you can also check if the aircraft is aligning with the right view, where it's starting, where it's ending, and also where this tail fin is ending. So far I think we've done a great job. So we're just going to take this, click on it, push it to the side, click on the front one, push it to the front, and finally we're going to click on this top view and push it down like so, so that we're going to create our model right here in the middle. So now that you've done that, you can go ahead and save. So remember, when you save as right now, you're saving the product. So when you go to the new part, we are going also to save the new part. So this is the cut product. And as you can see, we had the previous tutorials that we did. So this one, we're going to call it the MD-500E helicopter or copter, and enter. Now we can create our new part. So we're going to insert a new part into this product. And then you can click Alt Enter to bring up the properties. So this is the 500E. This is MD. Apply. Let's see how that looks like. select OK. Yeah, so we have MD-500E product. So to enter into our workbench, you can either double click on this part and it's going to bring you into the Imagine and Shape workbench. But if it doesn't bring you into the Imagine and Shape workbench, you can just go to Start, click on Shape, and then select Imagine and Shape right here. And it's going to bring you into this workbench. And now we can start to create our surfaces. So let's dive right into it. You need your keyboard in the IMA workbench more than you need it in the GSD and the mechanical workbench. And some shortcuts just worth to mention is that you need to have your left hand ready to press the escape key to escape functions, the shift key for trap selections. We have the control key to add or remove elements to selection. And then we might use F2, F3, and F4. F2 is used to change between perspective and parallel views. Then we have F3 is to show or hide this specification tree. And lastly, we have F4 to change the views orientations instead of clicking this button right here when we are modeling. So don't stress over it. I'm going to be mentioning it when we get there. I just thought it's worth mentioning. We're going to start by creating this main body using a closed primitive. And we're going to start with a sphere and then we're going to model it to fit this particular shape. So by default in IMA, new elements are created on the plane of view. So we can go to the front view and select a sphere. So as you can see, it appears on the plane which is facing you. And then using this translation and making sure that everything is selected, and I need to select the vertices, not the edges. So you can change this right here. To make sure everything is selected, you can click on this button and it selects everything. And then you can move this upwards, sideways, or you can use this piece right here to move it to any direction. So we're going to try and position this one to the center right here. And then I'm going to narrow it down. Because I need symmetry, we're going to use affinity. So click on affinity. So affinity is going to create symmetry in your maneuvers or your movements. So we're going to try and make this as thin as what is in our background. Just roughly, say up to about that point. Then click apply and then escape button to escape the function. Now, before we go on, we're going to change the transparencies of both these sketches and our new element right here. So under applications, you're going to find this painting gallery, and then you can click on all three, then Alt Enter, then go to the graphic properties, and you're going to add this transparency up to about that point, 100, 110 per se. Apply, and then select OK. Then click on your subdivision surface, and using this menu up here, you can actually change its color. And also we're going to switch the transparency to 50%. So now that we have our subdivision surface, you can now start using F4 key to change between views. You can go to front view, click on F4, you can go to right view, and so on and so forth. Then we're going to double click on our surface, or you can use space. Hold on, let me exit. If you click on subdivision surface and click on space, you enter into the function. And then we're going to translate this. Oops, my bad. Make sure everything is selected here. We are selecting the vertices, and then we're going to move this over right here. We're going to use affinity to extend this to the very end. So modeling is kind of tedious, unlike in GSD, where you just need to create the specific curves and specific measurements and then generate the lofts or the surfaces. So this is a bit tedious, but you just have to be patient. So right here, any adjustment you make sure to click apply. Do this as much as possible so that if you accidentally exit a function, you don't have to go back a couple of steps. And also make sure you're saving your work occasionally. So now we're in the part design workbench. We saved the product, so we're going to name this the MD-500E, or just the way we named it, MD. And it's going to be right here. Save, select yes. All right, so click on subdivision surface space, and we need this middle line to align with this line back there, like so. And then we use affinity to bring this as close as possible. Same thing for the height, up to about that point. Apply. We're going to switch to the front view. You can change the color. If you don't find red to be visible, you can change any color that you want right here. So once again, on affinity, everything selected. Just bring that like right there. Now we're going to use shift for trap selection. So just press on the shift key and then drag your mouse over the element you want to select. And you're going to, I'm going to use translation to bring this one up to say that point. Shift key, we trap the top one and we also bring it up to that point. I'm going to select everything and do that. Let me apply the previous ones, then go to affinity and then just reduce that up until it fits the width. So as you can see, we are trying to create the rough, the rough shape, but we need to add more sections to be able to do that. And that's going to be our next step. So first, exit this function using the escape key. We have a basic shape right here that we are going now to adjust more. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is to add more sections to our subdivision surface. But before we do that, we're gonna need to change our view right here from material. Just go to this custom view and select edges and points, then select OK, so that we have our edges and points always visible, and that way we can be able to know how many sections that we need to add. Now you can press F4 and select the right view. So we're going to add more sections on this length direction, and we're also going to add more section on the front view on this horizontal space and this vertical space. The goal is to use the minimal number of sections and still be able to achieve the desired shape, because the more number of sections you use, the more complex the geometry becomes and more harder it is to modify it. So before we do that, I'm going to adjust this to kind of fit the geometry we have as much as possible. And I'm going to start by pressing down the shift key and tap select those vertices, then control shift and hold on, control shift and tap select this. Let me repeat that. Start with the shift key, tap select those vertices, then control shift key and tap select those vertices. You can use affinity again for symmetry, so pull them outwards and maybe upwards, then shift these two vertices, pull them downwards. Remember, we are selecting by pressing the shift key, we are selecting the ones at the front and the one at the back because we want everything selected. Apply, come to the middle section, or we can go downward first and first select everything. Translation, move everything up to about that point. Then shift this to bring up to about that point. Then select shift the entire middle section and bring it, undo that, go to affinity and draw it inwards like so. So we're trying to achieve the overall shape as much as possible. Now apply, and then we need to make sure that this middle section is lying exactly at the middle. So what we're going to do is press shift and then highlight everything at the center. Go to compass definition, also known as the robot definition, depending on which version you have. Then we need to remove this compass from the middle of the model to this ZX plane. So you're just going to select pick and you're going to select this ZX plane and then click apply and exit the compass definition. Now that you have that, you're going to alignment, this icon, align on plane, and you have these arrows. So we want to align those points using this arrow so that they are right at the middle, as you can see. Now click apply and you can go back to translation. All right. We can also align the middle ones in the meantime. So we can select all this and then select alignment, select reset robot so that the compass goes back to be in the middle of this model, and then use this arrow to make sure that all those points lie on the same plane, and then click apply. Then go back to translation. So we have that. So we've aligned all this in the same plane and this one in the middle. So that's good. I don't like the way we brought this inwards. This one goes a little bit inwards. I need it to go downwards instead. So I'm going to shift, select these points and bring it inwards. Then these points right here, push them upwards. Or I can select all these points, select affinity and bring them towards each other like so. translation, go downward, affinity, like that, so that this point is not going upward. Okay, I want it going downwards. The curvature should be going downwards. Oh, undo. We are talking about translation downwards. Select everything, affinity, bring together. Yes, that's much more like it. That's much more like it. So it's not going inwards. So that's the basic shape we have so far. So far, so good. So we need to add more sections, as I said, right here. And we're going to do so through face cutting. Select the subdivision surface. When you're in the front view, you always have to remember that this picture comes before the model. So when you click here, you're clicking the picture. So first you have to select the subdivision surface before you can point to the individual elements. So I'm going to divide this. So this controls the number of sections, and we are only going to use one. And also, hold on, undo that. You can control where the geometry, the plane section goes using this icon, the cut manipulation. So you can be able to move it closer to one side or the other, like that. So in this point, I'm just going to leave it where it is, and then select apply. Then click on this one, again apply. We can use that to modify first. So exit. And then once again, click the subdivision surface, enter, and then go to translation. We can start with these 2 points and bring them downwards like so. And then this point, bring it upwards like that. Shift these points. Control Shift these points. Use affinity. Bring them a little bit inwards, like so. And click OK, apply. So now we have the basic shape, which is aligned at the middle. If you exit, you can see we have that shape aligned at the middle section, and that's exactly what we wanted. So now we can go to the side view or the right view. And we're going to add 2 more sections here. So right here, add 1 more section. And then right here, add another section. Exit. So we can either start with the right view or the top view to adjust. I'm going to start right here where we are. So again, enter the subdivision surface editing mode. And then I'm going to select everything here at the front side, shift, tab, select everything, go to affinity, and just bring it up until you can see the bottom side. click apply, go to translation, and we're going to select the top part only, these vertices, bring them down, up to say about that point. Then we have this section that we are going to push backwards up to where the fuselage nose starts. At this point, the middle section, the outwards edge that you can see is the middle section, and so you can be able to select individual elements and move them because it's just one edge. Okay, so you can select this point and decide to move it upwards like that. Then leave the middle section as it is. Then select these ones or everything. Select shift, everything at the back, go to affinity and just up to about that point, apply. And you can go back to selecting them individually now. For example, the top section, this top section, you can bring it lower like so. Then we have these vertices, bring them lower. Also move them to this side. Say about that point. Select everything at the middle and bring them closer like so. And then the ones at the bottom, just make sure you achieve what you're trying to get here. You're gonna leave it at that point first. Then apply. Okay, now we're gonna leave this section as it is in the meantime, and we're just going to shift to the top view. So select F4, go to the top view. So this one is right at the front, so that shows us that the bottom or the top profile that we created, the top painting, and the side ones are right, start at the same point, and that is very good because that was what we are looking for. So first I'm going to select everything at the front and then select affinity, make it wider up to about, say, that point. Then we have these sections. You can select this point and move it. This point, control this point. Go to translation. Let me reselect this point. Control hold this point. Bring them forward. Then go to affinity. Make it wider. Apply. Click apply as many times as you can when you're doing modifications here. So first you can see we have a curve, we have a curvature here, and basically this line is supposed to mimic this curve, and at this point it seems a bit more steep than it should be, but as long as this boundary fits it, then we're good to go. We also have a slight curvature right here where the windows, the second window ends. We have the middle section, and then we have these back sections. So for the back sections, I don't want the curvature to be very large here. So I'm going to select this point, Control hold this point, and bring it a little bit to the front. Then I'm going to select these 3 points, Control, Shift, these other 3 points. We are still on translation. Move them back a little bit. So up to about that point, then affinity, bring them closer. Translation once more. So you see this line, I want this to about lie at that point. And then once again, affinity, bring it in, shift this point, still on affinity, draw them inwards. So I want this point and this point to be at the same edge. So I can go to translation, push them outwards, F4, switch to the right view, where I can see where it's ending. So those 3 points, I want them to be at the same point, okay? Like that, select OK, and then select everything right here. Bring it up to this point. Escape. As a matter of fact, we want to have a circular profile right here at the back. So all these points, we are all going to align them on the same circular plane at the back. So we might as well get done with that right now. So shift these 3 points, select all of them. And then what I'm going to do is to select robot definition and select this point. Select OK. Exit. Go to alignment. And all those points, I'm going to align them like that. Okay, so I want all of them, all these points on the same plane like that. Click apply. And we're also going to align them on a circle. So I'm going to the back view. Back view. I hope you're following. If you're lost, don't worry. Just go back and follow this step by step. I know it can be difficult for new students. So you technically, once you see the circle, you click on it. So you want the points aligning on a circle, and then click apply. Okay, now we have that. Let's go back to translation mode. And these 3 points, should be at the same line, but I think I'm going to leave it as it is in the meantime. Maybe I can manually do it. Here is my back view. Just bring it upwards like that. Click apply. So that's how it's looking at the back. We're gonna get a clear picture once we go back to 100% in transparency or zero transparency. We can go back to the top view and continue with what we were doing. Can select it from here, top view. So as you can see, we've brought all those points in the same line. So now we just have to make sure that our edges are aligning with. So basically you can just shift, control, select everything on that line. I don't know if we selected them. Shift every point on this line. Hold on, exit. Select subdivision, surface, base. We're going to reset the robot and then shift. Yep, select all those points and then go to affinity. So you can bring them in to see where you see the edge and just go right slightly above that edge. You're not going to touch the middle section. So then we have this section right here. I think that looks good to me. Let's see. Up to about that point. So now we have our shape in the top section. Click apply. Let's switch to the right view. Again, we've covered majority of what we want, but I do want to bring these two vertices a little bit on the upper side. So I'm going to zoom in, shift, select those points, don't select the end point, translation, and just bring it upwards until that point. Let's see about these ones. So shift, and right about that point, click apply. Then we have these 3 points, which I kind of want to align in a straight line right here. Let's explore that. We can select shift and control these points. Then select compass definition, pick on this point, apply, and then go to exit robot definition, go to alignment. We want all these 3 points to be at the same level like so. We're just exploring, no worries. We can always go back and edit it if it doesn't come out the way we want it to be. So we have that section right there, and I'm just going to move it like so, like that. And check out the shape. Oops, I don't know what happened here. Let's undo that. Maybe we didn't select it. Okay, so we have those 3 selected. Back to the right view. Robot definition. Click on this point. Go to alignment. Drop it down. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it's not working. Okay. Let's undo that. and try out something else. So you have the points selected, shift, control these points. Oh, I guess I know what. We are aligning on plane, sorry. Align on plane and just drop it down like that. Apply. And then go to translation and bring it up like that. Click on that. Let's escape and see if it's giving what we want it to give. Yep, I think I like that. That looks much better, like what I expected. So right here, as you can see, we will have to add more sections for us to be able to modify this exactly to fit this curvature that we want. There's no problem with that. That's not much problem. Let's see. Let's go back to front view. Okay, we have that. So this bottom section is what we need to adjust. Enter. No space. So we have these 3 points here and these 3 points here. So shift, select those 3 points, Control Shift, select those 3 points, translation, let's bring them downwards like that. Then as you can see, these 2 points are kind of curving upwards. So we can select on this point and this one. And if there is any behind, so I'm going to press on Control hold those 3 points, or 4, however many, and they're supposed to go downwards like that. So you see they're supposed to be below this curve. And then we can now adjust all of them together. So apply that. And then first I'm going to select everything. Select affinity. Let's bring this once again within the edges like that. And also this way. Up to that point. Apply. Go back to the right view. Okay, everything is looking good so far. So far, so good. I think we can try to bring these points and these points lower. I'm going to select these outer points. Undo that. Go to translation. So lower and inwards like that. But I'm going to do it for both. So undo. Select those 2 points. Control Shift those 2 points. Instead use affinity. Bring them lower and inwards a little bit, like that. Apply. That looks much better. Then we have this point, control this point, translation, let it go upwards. Okay, escape. So modeling basically is making small adjustments until you meet the shape that you want. Right now, I would say we are at about 90% of our shape. The ideal shape is when it matches both on all the three views. So the top view, the side view, and the front view. So you just have to keep changing views, adjusting a little bit to suit what you're looking for. Once again, you adjust. So shift, select this, shift, select this, control shift, select this one. On translation, move it a little bit to the front side. We want to reduce the curve. We don't want the curve to be too steep. I think that's good. You can use affinity to control the width at any particular section. So as you can see, we don't need a lot of sections here to be able to get the ideal shape that we want. And that is good because we don't have to do a lot of editing work. So now that I've shown you how we're doing this, I would encourage you to go ahead and make any minor adjustments that you see on your model, because of course they're not going to be exactly the same. They're going to have a little bit of differences because we are all using different machines. Some of us are using different types of mouse, and of course the results are going to vary, but you can just check and see what can I do to improve my model. So I'm just going to go in here and do some final adjustments. Shift, select this point, Control Shift, select these 2 points, select affinity, bring them closer. Like so. Apply, then select Shift, these points, do that. Go to translation, bring it upwards. Bring it up to that point. So we've got this lower curvature covered. Shift, select, Control Shift, select, go to affinity, bring those also closer. Then use translation to bring this one up. I'm just repeating what I'm doing. Affinity. Then translating. Shift, select everything. Bring it outwards like so. Affinity. Bring them closer. Like so. So you can use these curves as guides to see where your point should be. Shift this point. Translation. Bring it forward a little bit, like so. Apply. So we still have to adjust this one right here. I need this curve. I need this curve to align properly. So I'm on translation. I'm just gonna do this individually. So like that. So you can single select right now because you're selecting the outer edge. Then select these ones. Control Shift, select these ones. Just going to push them. Okay. Shift, select these ones. Control Shift, select these ones. Then affinity on the same, push them outwards a little bit. Like so. Then select both of them, reduce the curvature a little bit. Translation. So this is just to make sure that we are nailing this. So I can try to adjust this one. So select this point and this point, and maybe move them back like that so they can match the curve. Okay, then affinity. Move them outwards a little bit. Oops, just a little bit. And do the same for these 2 points. So affinity, move them out a little bit, like so. Apply. Then we have these 2 points. So what I can try to do is to bring this closer to the front side, the front part I mean. Move this a little backwards. So now we have that curvature. Shift, select those. Control Shift, select those ones. Move them outwards. Select OK. So first, to view this geometry, you can go back to 100% on visibility. So select subdivision, go back to 100%. And you can also change to a better color for you to be able to visualize it. So this is what we have. I would say that that's pretty good. So always go back to the product description and check on the surfaces to see if you're close to what you're trying to get here. So as you can see, we have that line. It's kind of a little bit flat on the side, and then we have this curvature right here, and you can compare that to what you have created here. So you might want to pull these two vertices outwards a little bit. And let's see the effect it has on those. Alternatively, you can select these two vertices and pull them inwards. So select it, go back to 50%. So it's this vertex right here. This one. And control this one. So go to top view. Affinity. And just pull those ones outwards. And then these two, Control Shift again, trap select. Those two need to come inwards a little bit like that. So on this curvature, right there, apply, escape. And as you can see, that has improved on how that geometry looks like. Once again, you can go back to 100% visibility. And I think that looks really, really good. You've done a great job. You can hide first this gallery and you'll be able to see what you have created. So if you look closely, you can see that circular alignment we created right here at the very end. So we have a bit of a flatness at the back. And this basically creates the base of, so this creates the base of our model. and this is what we are going to work with. Feel free to make any more adjustments that you feel you might want. For example, these two vertices at the bottom, you select this, hold on, this vertex and this, control this vertex at the bottom, again top view. You can pull them inner instead of aligning them with the top ones so that it's kind of tapered downwards at the bottom. Exit, and that is the result. You can go back to shading with material and you can see the smooth surface. It doesn't have any creases. So this is what we're going to work with. And in the next episode, we're going to create the housing for the main rotor and also that extension for the tail rotor. And if you've come this far, you've done 60% of the work. Like the class A surfacing work, that's the main work. Creating the stand and the main rotor and what have you, it's not so much work, especially if you already did the GSD series. You understand that we are using one aerofoil, and all we have to do is to specify the direction and then create the circular pattern. So if you've come this far, congratulations, you've done much of the work. I hope you do an even better model than the one I'm displaying right here on the surface. And so I'll catch you in the next episode.